When the weather's nice, and it usually is in Charleston, I do work here on the porch. I do my machine work upstairs, and then in the evenings I'll come down and work on the porch. Probably, oh, I'd say here you can easily do it 8 or 9 months of the year. I live and work upstairs most of the day, and then live and work downstairs for the second half of the day. I worked for years in major department stores, so my house is kind of eclectic and a little bit of different things in each room. I can't really define my house as one style or my dolls as one style. I also paint, and right now my paintings are very New Orleans. There's a lot of tarot card readers, things like that. I usually display the dolls on the wall. It seemed to be the easiest way to keep them up and out of the way while I work. The wall was full a week ago, and the floor was full a week ago. I've sold quite a few recently, and I'm happy for it. And I always love knowing where they're going. Most of them seem to go to New York or California for some reason. I did send a couple to Texas this week. I begin really by cutting the patterns. And again, the body is separate from the head. And then I stuff them with fiberfill. The last thing is really making the clothing. And that is probably my favorite part. But I do pick the clothing fabric before I even start the body, so I have some idea. Like this fabric I had out for the doll that was downstairs that I didn't have any of the staining on. This will be her jacket. I work here, looking out the window. The ironing board is basically my table, my work table, because I don't have a lot of space. I've crammed so much into the space, and I have so many materials. I mean, I have boxes and boxes of beads, and they're usually labeled, like these are small glass beads. These are the beads that I use for eyes and teeth. These are buttons that are organized by color, 2 boxes of those. These are beads that I use on the clothing. My fabrics are also arranged by color, and these are the hair boxes, my blonde hair box, my brown hair, my blonde, my red hair, my black hair, my gray hair, my brown hair box. So I can usually find something pretty quickly, and that's probably the most exciting and the most time-consuming part, is deciding what the doll is going to look like and then making the doll actually look that way. The staining sometimes takes 2 or 3 or 4 times before I get it the right color. You can't go back. If you get something too dark, there's nothing you can do. I've done that, and the doll is in the trash. I can't, bleach will not take it out. These are permanent inks. I started out dyeing them with coffee and tea, but I didn't like the color I was getting, and I didn't like the permanence. You know, a little bit of rain, something like that, and the coffee and the tea does move and stain, or the stain does spread and grow. So this is the beginning, and the first one, the prototype of what will be the girl love doll. And they're very generic. This is my first try, and I've got to recut the pattern. She needs less neck. We need to pinch in the waist a little bit. She from the side again, less neck. So it takes me a couple of tries to get a pattern that's going to work, and then I use the same I will use the same pattern, so that every love doll will be very generic. And the purpose for that is, I don't know who you're presenting this love doll to, so it needs to be generic enough that it could be a man or a woman of any race with any color hair. So they're all pretty bland, you know, in comparison to some of the other things that are beaded, or this guy who is wearing his New Orleans jacket. A lot of times you miss the detail. This guy I really like. because he has a vest of bones. These are, we eat a lot of chicken wings here. Okay, so they're bones that have been dried and cleaned and bleached, and I don't have one now, but I have done really great beaded and boned necklaces for some of the Conjurer dolls. So again, no two are alike. They usually, as you can see, you know, here's my cross, here's my skull. This little guy, I embroidered a very early Christian symbol on his chest. This guy has, this is a Christian symbol. A lot of people say, oh, it's a pentagram. It's not. A pentagram is 2 points up on the star. This is a Christian symbol. This is also a Christian symbol. I don't have problem not using crosses. I have not had anyone tell me I don't want a cross on the doll. I'm sure it'll happen someday, but it hasn't. I rarely make African American dolls because it's very hard to give them detail. So when I do make them, I usually use a linen that might be this color, or even this with a little more staining. I don't really consider any of them having a race. I really think of them more as being the human race. This little guy's on hold. I think he's an early doll. The earlier dolls are a little bit smaller than the dolls I'm doing now. And what I liked about him, when I did him, his mouth is sewn shut, but you can see this little trail that takes you out and around his head, and there's a mayfly. So you know his mouth is filled with mayflies, and it's been sewn shut. So I have fun with this. It's been entertaining, and I on the custom dolls, I really like, when I'm starting them, I really like for it to last. I like to have 7 to 10 days. That gives me time to think about it. I usually go shopping for custom dolls. I have stock fabric, plenty of it for my dolls, but sometimes I just feel like I need to, with a custom doll, go out and get something. I'll also go on this thing where sometimes it's like baking cookies, and I just sit down and do a number of different bodies, and that's what's happening here. I went home to see my family a few weeks ago, so I made, I think, 9 bodies and 9 heads while I was there. So these will all be stuffed and put together, and could be a custom doll. Someone may say, I want a colorful doll, I want a doll with black pants, I want lots of blue. So that can happen too. This is the first one I've made that has sort of a Day of the Dead theme. And a lot of times what I make depends on what fabrics I find. I'm inspired by something, and I was inspired by, I think the Day of the Dead is a great holiday, so when I saw the fabric, I was inspired by that. It's what I like, you know. I love this fabric, so I used it. The heads are pretty complicated when you start sewing them together because there are 5 pieces involved, and to keep the shape of the mouth as the head's being stuffed, I sew it shut. I fill it with cotton and sew it shut so that the stuffing goes above and below, and that way when I cut the stitching off, I have the mouth open so I can add the teeth. Sometimes I have the teeth on the outside of the heads or outside of the mouth. Sometimes they're actually in the mouth. Sometimes I'll add a tongue coming out of the mouth. So again, it's sort of what I feel like at the moment more than anything else. Thanks for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it for you. Check me out on Instagram, Dr. Wren, Dr. Wren, and on my website, www.wrenfetishdolls.com. And I think we're going to head downtown. It's a really pretty day. Take care. See you soon.